The warning came exactly 2 weeks after the last Thalen landed on Earth. The monitoring stations at the edge of the Saul system detected them first. 7 massive ships appeared from faster-than-light travel. The ships looked wrong. They were part machine and part living things, welded together in ways that hurt to look at. The Vrex had found them. Admiral Karen Hughes stood in the command center on Luna Station. Luna was Earth's moon. From here, she could see everything happening in the solar system. The screens showed the 7 Vrex ships moving toward Earth. They were not trying to hide. They were not being careful. They just moved forward like they owned the space. Admiral Hughes had read all the reports about the Vrex. She had studied everything the Thalen could tell them. But seeing these ships on the screens was different. They were huge. They were powerful. And they were coming straight for Earth. "They are sending us a message," her communications officer said. "Put it on screen," Admiral Hughes ordered. The image that appeared was terrifying. The Vrex commander was a nightmare made real. It was part creature and part machine. Multiple eyes glowed with cold intelligence. Metal arms and tentacles moved and twitched. It had been many different creatures once, all merged into one horrible thing. The creature spoke. A computer translated its words into English. "Humans, you harbor the Thalen. Surrender them to us. If you interfere, we will consider you hostile. If you comply, we will spare your system." Admiral Hughes felt cold anger fill her chest. She had spent 30 years in the military. She had seen war. She had made hard decisions. But this thing, this monster, thought it could just demand that humans hand over innocent refugees. It thought humans would be too scared to fight back. "This is Admiral Karen Hughes of the United Earth Defense Force. The Thalen are under our protection. You are not welcome in this system. Leave now, you do not understand. We do not negotiate. Surrender the Thalen or be destroyed." "Let me make this very clear," Admiral Hughes said. Her voice was calm but hard as steel. "We do not hand over refugees to murderers. We do not compromise when it comes to protecting innocent people. And we do not back down from bullies. You have entered our home. You have threatened our people and our guests. Leave now or face the consequences." The Vrex commander tilted its head like it was thinking. "Your species is unregistered in our data. Your technology is primitive. You have 17 military vessels. We have superiority in all categories. Basic mathematics says you will lose." "Maybe we will lose," Admiral Hughes said. "But you will learn something about humanity today. We are very bad at accepting mathematics that says we should lose. All ships, this is Admiral Hughes. Battle stations. They want to fight. Let us give them one they will never forget." The Vrex fleet moved forward. So did the human fleet. On Earth, Kelrick watched the news with horror. Every screen showed the same thing. The human military was mobilizing everything they had. Ships that had been exploring the outer planets were racing back. Defense platforms around Earth and Mars were powering up their weapons. The news showed something Kelrick had never seen before. An entire planet united with one purpose. "They are going to fight," Captain Nira said beside him. Her voice shook with emotion. "For us. They are actually going to fight for us. We have to stop this," Kelrick said. He stood up quickly. "We need to surrender ourselves. We cannot let them die for us. Where is Captain Price? We need to tell her we will go to the Vrex." Captain Amanda Price walked into the room at that moment. She was wearing full combat gear. She was preparing to go to her ship. "The answer is no, Ambassador." "Captain, you do not understand what the Vrex can do," Kelrick said desperately. "They will destroy everything. Your beautiful planet. Your people. Please let us go. We can take a shuttle. We can surrender. You do not have to die for us. Ambassador, you are not prisoners. You are not bargaining chips. You are people under our protection. Humanity does not sacrifice innocent people to save itself. Not today. Not ever. But your people will die," Kelrick shouted. "Do you not understand? The Vrex will kill thousands of you. Maybe more. All because you took us in. Maybe we will die. Probably we will die. But we will die standing between you and them. Because that is what humans do. We stand up. We fight back. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. And maybe, just maybe, we are stubborn enough and crazy enough to actually win." She walked over and put her hand on his shoulder. "Trust us, Kelrick. Trust that we know what we are doing. And pray to whatever gods you believe in. We are about to show the Vrex what happens when they threaten Earth." Captain Price left to join her ship. Kelrick stood there feeling helpless and afraid. The Thalen had powerful ships once. They had a strong military. But the Vrex destroyed them in 3 weeks. How could these young humans with their small fleet and primitive technology possibly win? All over Earth, humans watched the same broadcasts. They saw the Vrex fleet approaching. They saw their own small fleet moving to intercept. Parents held their children. Old people remembered past wars. Young people felt afraid for the first time in their lives, but no one suggested surrendering the Thalen. Not one voice on any broadcast said they should hand over the refugees. Instead, humans argued about the best way to fight. They discussed tactics and strategies. They talked about how to win, not whether to fight. In the Thalen settlement, people gathered around screens and watched. They saw human families saying goodbye to soldiers. They saw ships leaving Earth orbit to face an enemy that had destroyed the Thalen civilization. They saw a species barely out of their own solar system preparing to fight beings that had conquered dozens of worlds. Why are they doing this? A young Thalen woman asked. Her name was Sella, and she held her baby close. We are nothing to them. We are just aliens who arrived asking for help. Why would they die for us? Because that is who they are, an old Thalen man answered. His name was Vareen, and he was a teacher. I have studied them these past 2 weeks. Humans have a strange quality. They see someone in need and they help. They do not calculate the cost first. They do not worry about danger. They just help. It is in their nature. Captain Nira stood with Kelrick and watched the screens. The human fleet was small. 17 ships against 7 Vrex dreadnoughts. It should not even be close. The Vrex should win easily. But humans had something the Vrex did not expect. They had a reason to fight, not for conquest or resources or power. They were fighting to protect people who could not protect themselves. They were fighting because it was right, and that made them dangerous. The 2 fleets met near Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system. The battle was about to begin. On Earth, 12,000 Thalen people watched and prayed. They prayed for the humans going to fight. They prayed for a miracle. They prayed that somehow, against all logic and reason, the humans would win. Kelrick watched Captain Price's ship on the screen. The USS Discovery was so small compared to the Vrex dreadnoughts. It looked like a child's toy next to a truck. But it moved with purpose and determination toward the enemy. She is a good person, Nira said quietly. She did not have to help us. Earth did not have to take us in. They could have turned us away like everyone else. But they chose to help. And now they are choosing to fight for us. We owe them everything, Kelrick said. If any of us survive this, we will spend the rest of our lives repaying this debt. We will help them build. We will share everything we know. We will stand beside them always. If they win, Nira said. When they win, Kelrick corrected. We have to believe they can win. They believe it. The least we can do is believe in them too. The first weapons fired. Nuclear missiles streaked through space. Energy beams lit up the darkness. The Battle of Saul had begun, and the fate of 2 species hung in the balance. The next 3 days changed everything for the Thalen people. Ships started arriving from Earth, big ships and small ships, military ships and civilian ships. They came in a steady stream, one after another. Kelrick had never seen anything like it. The humans worked without stopping. They set up medical stations on the sanctuary. They brought food and clean water. They brought medicine and supplies. But most importantly, they brought hope. They smiled at the Thalen children. They helped the elderly walk to the shuttles. They treated everyone with kindness and respect. Commander Gregory Lynn arrived to organize the military ships. He was a calm man with gray hair and steady eyes. He made sure every transport had an escort. He made sure everyone stayed safe. Admiral Karen Hughes worked from Earth, sending more ships and more supplies. She seemed to think of everything they might need. Dr. Patrick Stone led the medical teams. He was a kind doctor who worked hard to understand Thalen biology. He wanted to make sure they could treat any sick Thalen properly. He studied their blood. He learned about their bodies. He made sure his team knew how to help them. Captain Nira watched everything with amazement. She stood beside Kelrick on the observation deck. Ships moved back and forth between the sanctuary and Earth. Thousands of Thalen people were being moved to safety. I do not understand, Nira said quietly. Why are they doing this? They do not know us. We could be dangerous. We could bring trouble to their world. Why do they trust us? Kelrick shook his head. I do not understand either. Every other species turned us away. They were afraid. But these humans are not afraid. Or maybe they are afraid, but they help us anyway. One moment stayed in Kelrick's mind. He was walking through a cargo bay that had been turned into a temporary shelter. Thaylen families waited there for their turn to board the transport ships. A young human woman sat on the floor with a group of Thaylen children. Her name was Lieutenant Sophie Martin. Sophie was teaching the children a game. She clapped her hands in a pattern, and the children tried to copy her. They did not speak the same language, but they were laughing together. The children looked happy for the first time in months. Their parents watched with tears in their eyes. Captain Price came to stand beside Kelrick. They both watched Sophie and the children play. "Your people are amazing," Kelrick said. "We have been nothing but trouble for everyone we met. But your people treat us like we are important, like we matter. You do matter, Ambassador. Every person matters. We teach this to our children from the time they are very young. But you know so little about us," Kelrick said. "We could be lying. We could be criminals. How can you trust us so easily?" Amanda smiled. She looked tired but happy. "Ambassador, humanity spent thousands of years fighting itself. We almost destroyed our own planet many times. We know what it looks like when people are desperate. We know what it means to run away from monsters. Maybe we are too young to know we should be afraid. Or maybe we decided that being afraid is not a good reason to stop helping people who need help." The evacuation took 3 full days. Every single Thaylen was moved to Earth. Families stayed together. No one was left behind. The humans had set up a temporary settlement in a place they called Australia. It was warm there, with red dirt and strange plants. The sky was a color the Thaylen had never seen before. Kelrick was one of the last to leave the sanctuary. He walked through the empty corridors one final time. This ship had been their home for 3 terrible months. Now it floated silent and empty in space. It had brought them to safety. It had saved their lives. "Thank you," he whispered to the ship. "Thank you for keeping us alive long enough to find help." Then he boarded the last shuttle to Earth. Standing on Earth for the first time was strange. The gravity was heavier than his home planet. His legs felt tired. The air tasted different. The sun felt too bright and too warm. Everything was wrong and different and alien. But it was safe. That was what mattered. They were safe. The temporary settlement was impressive. The humans had built hundreds of shelters. They had medical tents and food distribution areas. They had schools for the children and work areas for the adults. Everything was organized and clean. Human volunteers worked everywhere. They helped Thaylen families find their shelters. They gave out food and water. They answered questions as best they could through translation devices. Some humans were learning the Thaylen language. Some Thaylen were learning human languages. Everyone was trying to communicate and help each other. That first night on Earth, Kelrick stood outside his shelter and looked up at the stars. The constellations were all wrong. None of the stars looked familiar. He was farther from home than he had ever been. His planet was destroyed. His people were scattered. Everything he knew was gone. But he was alive. His people were alive. They had food and water and shelter. They had humans who cared about them and wanted to help them. Maybe this strange planet with its heavy gravity and wrong-colored sky could become a new home. Captain Nira found him standing there. She looked up at the stars too. "I never thought we would find safety," she said. "I thought we would die in space, or the Vrex would catch us." I had given up hope. "So had I," Kelrick admitted. "But these humans are different from anyone else we met. They helped us without asking for anything in return. They welcomed us without fear. Do you think the Vrex will find us here?" Kelrick was quiet for a long moment. "I do not know. I hope not. But if they do, I fear for these humans. They do not know what the Vrex are capable of. They do not understand the danger they have taken on by helping us. Should we warn them? Should we tell them to send us away before the Vrex come? We should. But I do not think they would listen. Captain Price told me that helping people is what humans do. She said it is who they are. I do not think they would change their minds even if they knew the full danger. Then we should prepare to help them if the Vrex come. We cannot just hide while they fight for us. Agreed, Kelrick said. We will offer them everything we know about the Vrex. Our technology, our knowledge, our experience. If the Vrex come, we will stand with the humans. It is the least we can do after everything they have done for us. That night, Kelrick slept on solid ground for the first time in months. The bed was strange and the sounds were unfamiliar, but he slept deeply and peacefully. He did not dream of fire and destruction. He did not dream of running away. For the first time since the Vrex came to his world, he slept without fear. In the morning, he woke to the sound of children laughing. Thaylen children and human children were playing together outside. They had invented some kind of game that needed no shared language. They ran and jumped and laughed in the early morning light. Kelrick stepped outside and watched them play. An older human woman stood nearby, also watching. She smiled at him. Children adapt so quickly, she said. They do not see differences. They just see other children to play with. Kelrick nodded. Maybe adults should learn from children, he said. The woman laughed. Maybe we should, she agreed. For 2 wonderful weeks, life was peaceful. The Thaylen people began to settle into their new home. They learned about Earth. They tried human food. They studied human culture. The humans learned about Thaylen customs and traditions. Both species taught each other their languages and their ways. It was the beginning of something beautiful. A friendship between 2 very different species. A partnership built on kindness and mutual respect. But like all peaceful moments, it could not last forever. The Vrex were coming, and when they arrived, everything would change. The battle started near Jupiter. The human fleet met the Vrex with everything they had. 17 ships against 7 Vrex dreadnoughts. Each Vrex ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built. But the humans did not run away. Captain Amanda Price commanded the USS Discovery. Her orders were simple: slow them down. Make them pay for every meter of space they cross. Make them bleed all ships weapons-free. Target their engines. Make them work for every inch. Admiral Hughes commanded from the USS Lincoln, the biggest human ship. The first wave of human missiles flew across space. Nuclear warheads, mass drivers shooting metal at incredible speeds, experimental energy weapons that scientists had rushed to finish. The Vrex defense systems shot down most of them, but not all. 3 nuclear missiles hit a Vrex dreadnought. The ship shook. Its organic armor absorbed most of the damage, but the humans had heard it. First blood went to humanity. Then the Vrex fired back. Their weapons were terrible and beautiful. Energy beams that melted through armor like butter. Biomechanical weapons that seemed alive. The small human ship USS Atlanta died first. Her hull was torn open in a dozen places. Air rushed out into space. The crew fought to reach escape pods, but the humans did not break. They did not run away. They kept fighting. Discovery, this is Admiral Hughes. Fall back to the 2nd defensive line. We need you alive for the next wave. Negative, Admiral, Captain Price replied. We still have weapons. We still have fight in us. We are staying. The Discovery flew between 2 Vrex ships. Her weapons fired non-stop. The frigate USS Montana followed her. Together they focused all their fire on a single Vrex dreadnought. The huge ship lost its main engine. It started spinning slowly, damaged but still dangerous. On Earth, millions of people watched. Every channel showed the same battle. In the Thaylen settlements, every screen was on. Kelrick watched human ships dying to protect his people. He felt something break inside his heart. They fight like they have already lost, Captain Nera whispered. But they do not stop. They keep fighting anyway. No, Kelrick said. They fight like they have everything to lose. And they do. Us, their home, their families, everything they care about. The battle went on for 6 hours. The humans used tactics the Vrex had never seen before. They used the gravity of planets as weapons. They flew around Jupiter to gain speed. Their communications were jammed, but they still coordinated perfectly. They adapted. They improvised. They refused to give up, but the numbers were brutal. 9 human ships were destroyed. The Lincoln was badly damaged. The Discovery had lost main power and was drifting in space. The crew worked desperately to fix the engines. And the Vrek still had 4 working dreadnoughts moving toward Earth. Then something unexpected happened. Lieutenant Sophie Martin was on the damaged Discovery. She looked at Captain Price with desperate eyes. "Captain, engineering has an idea. It is crazy. It probably will not work. But we have one more trick." "Tell me," Captain Price said. "We can overload the reactor, create a massive explosion. If we can ram one of their ships and get close enough, we can take it with us." Amanda looked around her bridge. She looked at her crew. These were young people who had joined to explore space and discover new worlds. Now she was asking them to die defending those worlds. "All hands, this is the captain. I want volunteers only. Anyone who wants to leave can take the escape pods. No one will judge you. No one will think less of you. You have all already proven yourselves heroes." Not a single person moved toward the escape pods. Every crew member stayed at their station. Lieutenant Martin set course for the nearest Vrek's dreadnought. "Full thrust on emergency power. Arm the reactor overload, and somebody send a message to Admiral Hughes. Tell her we are buying her some time." The Discovery fired her last working thrusters. She began moving toward the Vrek's fleet. The Vrek saw her coming, but they did not worry. One small damaged ship was no threat to them. They were wrong. The Discovery hit the Vrek's dreadnought right at its command center. For a moment, nothing happened. The 2 ships were locked together. Then Captain Amanda Price pressed the button to overload the reactor. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from Earth. A small sun appeared in space. Both ships were destroyed completely. The blast wave hit the nearby Vrek ships. Their shields failed. Their armor buckled and cracked. And in that moment of chaos, the surviving human ships attacked with everything they had left. On Earth, people watched in stunned silence. Captain Price was gone. Sophie Martin was gone. The entire crew of the Discovery was gone. They had sacrificed themselves. They had turned their ship into a weapon to protect Earth and the Thaylen refugees. Kelrick fell to his knees. Tears ran down his face. "She saved us," he whispered. "They all saved us, and we can never repay them." The battle continued. The USS Montana rammed another damaged Vrek ship. The captain and crew followed the Discovery's example. Another explosion. Another Vrek's dreadnought destroyed. 2 human ships gone, but 2 enemy ships eliminated. Admiral Hughes led the Lincoln into close combat with a Vrek's dreadnought. The 2 ships fired at point-blank range. The Lincoln's hull was torn and burning. But the human crew did not give up. They kept firing. They kept fighting. "Boarding teams," Admiral Hughes ordered. "We are taking this ship." Human Marines launched from the Lincoln. They flew across the gap between ships in small pods. They cut through the Vrek's hull and entered the enemy ship. Inside was hell. Vrek's creatures and machines fought them in the narrow corridors. But the humans pushed forward. They fought with guns and knives and bare hands. They would not stop. Admiral Hughes led the boarding team herself. She was 60 years old, but she fought like she was 20. She had trained for war her entire life. Now she used every bit of that training. They fought their way to the Vrek's command center and set explosives. The explosion destroyed the Vrek's ship from the inside. Most of the human boarding team died in the blast, but Admiral Hughes and a few Marines made it back to the pods. They escaped seconds before the Vrek ship exploded. The battle lasted 19 hours total. When it finally ended, space was full of debris from both sides. The Vreks had entered with 7 dreadnoughts. All 7 were destroyed. None escaped. None survived, but the cost to humanity was terrible. Of 17 ships, only 4 limped home. Over 4,000 humans were dead. Thousands more were injured. Families had lost parents. Children had lost mothers and fathers. The price of protecting the Thaylen had been paid in human blood. On Earth, people cried. They mourned their dead. They watched the surviving ships return. The Lincoln was barely holding together. The Montana was covered in patches and emergency repairs. But they came home, and they brought victory with them. In the Thaylen settlements, everyone was silent. They had watched humans die for them. Thousands of humans had given their lives to protect 12,000 Thaylen refugees. The debt was so huge it could never be fully repaid. Kelrick stood with tears on his face. All around him, Thaylen people were crying. They cried for the humans who had died. They cried for the sacrifice that had been made. They cried because kindness and courage had won, but at such a terrible price. Captain Nira put her hand on his shoulder. "They won," she said quietly. "Against all odds, they won. Humanity defeated the Vreks, but so many died," Kelrick said. "So many good people. Captain Price, Sophie Martin, thousands of others. They died for us. Then we must make sure their sacrifice means something. We must help humanity rebuild. We must stand with them now and always. We owe them everything. The Battle of Saul was over. Humanity had won, but the cost of victory would be remembered forever. And the friendship between humans and Thalan, born in desperation and sealed in blood, would never be broken. Ambassador Kelrick stood by the window of the sanctuary and looked out at the stars. His three-fingered hand pressed against the cold glass. The stars outside moved past them in long streaks of light. Their ship was old and tired, just like everyone on board. Behind them, somewhere in the dark space, the Vreks were hunting. The Thalan people had been running away for 3 months. 3 long months since the Vreks came to their home planet. 3 months since Kelrick watched his world burn from space as they ran away. They took everyone they could save. 12,000 people now lived on this colony ship. The ship was built for peaceful travel, not for war. It was never meant to run like this. Captain Nira walked into the room. Her scales looked dull and tired. She had not slept well in weeks. None of them had. The weight of keeping 12,000 people alive showed on her face. She looked much older than she did 3 months ago. "We have a problem," she said. Her voice was quiet and sad. Kelrick turned away from the window. "How bad is it?" he asked. "The quantum drive is dying. The engineers say we can make one more jump. After that, the ship will break. We cannot run anymore. One more jump." Kelrick felt his heart sink. They had asked 17 different worlds for help. 17 times they were told no. The galaxy had learned not to fight the Vreks. No one wanted to be their next target. Every species they met was too afraid to help. "There is one more place we can try," Kelrick said. He brought up a map on the screen. "Here. The Sol system, the 3rd planet from their sun." Nira looked at the map with wide eyes. "The humans? Kelrick, they only learned to travel faster than light 40 years ago. They are very new to space. They have no big fleet. They have no strong military. What can they do for us? They can hide us," Kelrick said. "They are too small for the Vreks to notice. Too young and weak. Maybe the Vreks will not look for us there." Nira stared at the star map for a long time. Sul was a yellow star far out on the edge of the galaxy. Nothing special about it. The humans who lived there had only just started exploring beyond their own planet. Most species were building empires when humans were still learning to fly. "Set course for Earth," she said at last, "and pray that these humans are kinder than everyone else we have met." 3 days later, the sanctuary made its last jump. They appeared at the edge of the Sol system. As soon as they arrived, the quantum drive broke down completely. Fire and smoke filled the engine rooms. The engineers worked hard to stop the damage. Now the ship could only drift forward slowly on emergency power. They sent out distress signals on every frequency they knew. Then they waited. Kelrick sat in his chair and wondered if they would get another rejection. Would the humans also turn them away? Would they die here in space, so close to safety but unable to reach it? The answer came faster than expected. A human ship appeared only a few hours later. It was small, much smaller than the sanctuary. The ship had their planetary flag painted on the side, and strange letters and numbers. It was called the USS Discovery. A human woman appeared on their main screen. She had dark hair tied back and bright, curious eyes. Her name was Captain Amanda Price of the United Earth Navy. She looked young and energetic. "This is Captain Amanda Price of the USS Discovery. We got your distress call. What is your situation?" Kelrick stepped forward. His whole body felt tense with hope and fear. "I am Ambassador Kelrick of the Thalan Sovereignty. We are refugees. Our home planet was destroyed by the Vreks Dominion. We have 12,000 people on a broken ship. We need help. We need a safe place to stay." Captain Price was quiet for a moment. Kelrick could see her talking to other people off screen. Then she looked back at him. Her face was serious but kind. "Ambassador, I need to be honest with you. Earth has never dealt with refugees from space before. We do not have plans for this. We do not know how to handle such a big group. But we will not leave 12,000 people to die. Can I come aboard your ship to see what you need?" Relief hit Kelrick so hard he almost fell down. Yes, please come aboard. And thank you. Thank you so much. The humans did not waste time. Within an hour, Captain Price and her team arrived on the sanctuary. Kelrick watched as the human soldiers stepped out of their shuttle. They wore simple uniforms and carried basic weapons. They looked around with wide eyes, taking in the sight of the damaged ship and the scared Thaylen people. Captain Price walked through the ship with Kelrick. He showed her everything: the broken engines, the crowded living areas where families slept on the floor, the medical bay full of sick and injured people, the food storage that was almost empty, the water recyclers that barely worked. The captain did not say much as they walked. She just looked at everything carefully. She stopped to talk to some of the Thaylen children. She smiled at them even though they could not understand her words. The children seemed to relax a little around her. When they finished the tour, Captain Price took Kelrick to a quiet room. Her face was serious. "Tell me about the Vrex," she said. Kelrick took a deep breath. "The Vrex are not like other species. They do not talk. They do not trade. They only destroy and consume. They came to our system without warning. We tried to fight, but they were too strong. In 3 weeks, our entire military was destroyed. Our cities burned. Our people died. We escaped on 3 colony ships. We do not know if the other 2 ships are still alive." "How far behind are they?" Captain Price asked. "We do not know. Maybe they lost our trail. Maybe they stopped chasing us, or maybe they will arrive tomorrow. We have been running for so long we do not know anymore." Captain Price nodded slowly. She seemed to be thinking hard. Then she looked directly at Kelrick. "Ambassador, I need to send a message to Earth. It will take about 4 hours for my message to reach them and for them to answer, but I can tell you right now what they will say." Kelrick felt his shoulders drop. Here it comes, he thought. Another rejection. Another door closed in their faces. Earth will give you shelter. We will start moving your people to Earth right away. You have my promise. Kelrick stared at her. He could not believe what he heard. Just like that? You do not need permission? You do not need to discuss it? Oh, I will need permission, and there will be many discussions. But this is what we call doing the right thing. 12,000 people need help. We will help them. The politics can be sorted out later. For the first time in 3 months, Kelrick felt something he had almost forgotten. He felt hope. Real hope. These young humans who barely knew how to travel between stars were offering help when advanced civilizations had turned them away. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for seeing us as people worth saving." Captain Price put her hand on his shoulder. "Everyone is worth saving, Ambassador. That is the first thing we teach our children. Now let us get your people to safety." 3 weeks after the battle, Kelrick stood in the memorial park. Black stone walls stretched in a huge circle. Every wall was covered with names, 4,216 names. Every human who died in the Battle of Saul had their name carved here. Future generations would come here and remember. Kelrick walked slowly along the walls. He read every name he passed. Captain Amanda Price, Lieutenant Sophie Martin, Commander Jacob Hayes, Private Lisa Crawford. So many names, so many lives lost protecting people they had never met before. Admiral Karen Hughes found him there. She walked with a cane now. Her leg had been badly injured during the boarding action. The doctors said she would always walk with a limp. But she was alive. Many were not, they were heroes, she said quietly. Every single one of them. They should not have needed to be heroes, Kelrick replied. His voice was thick with emotion. We brought this war to your world. 4,000 people are dead because we asked for help. No, Ambassador. 4,000 people chose to defend what matters. You did not bring war here. The Vrex brought war. You just gave us a reason to stand up and fight back. And by doing that, you gave us something even more valuable. What could we possibly have given you? We have cost you so much, you gave us purpose. You gave us unity. You reminded us that we are not alone in the universe. Before you came, humanity was still figuring out what kind of species we wanted to be in space. Now we know. We are the ones who help. We are the ones who stand up for others. We are the ones who do not run away when people need us. She turned to face him directly. The Vrex sent us another message after the battle. They said humans are now registered as a hostile species. They said they will return with more ships. They will come back stronger. Kelrick felt ice in his chest. Then we have doomed your entire species. They will never stop now. They will hunt humanity across the galaxy, maybe. But now we know they exist. We know what is coming. We have time to prepare. And we will be ready. But more than that, other species are watching. They saw humanity stand against the Vrex and win. Refugee ships are already changing their course. They are coming here because they know we will help them too. You are building an alliance, Kelrick said slowly. You are gathering everyone the Vrex have hurt. We are building a family. Every species that the Vrex have terrorized can come here. They can find safety, and together, all of us will make sure the Vrex never hurt anyone again. Over the next months, Earth changed in amazing ways. The Thalan settlement in Australia grew into a real city. Human and Thalan engineers worked side by side. They combined human determination with Thalan technology. Together, they built things neither species could have built alone. New ships were designed and built. These ships used the best of both human and Thalan ideas. They were faster and stronger than anything either species had made before. The shipyards around Earth worked day and night building a new fleet. Captain Nira joined the United Earth Defense Force. She became a teacher and advisor. She taught human officers everything the Thalan had learned about fighting the Vrex. She shared their tactics and strategies. She trained the next generation of defenders. More refugee ships arrived. The Karathi came from the Galactic North, running from Vrex expansion. The Silene arrived next. Their homeworld had been destroyed by the Vrex 10 years before. The Vargan came too. They were fierce warriors who had lost their war but not their courage. Earth welcomed all of them. New settlements were built, not just on Earth but on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. Every refugee species was given land and resources to start over. And in return they shared their knowledge. They taught humans about technologies humans had never imagined, about philosophies and ideas from across the galaxy. But humans taught them things too. They taught about second chances, about standing up for those who cannot stand for themselves, about the stubborn determination to never give up, no matter how bad things look, about the crazy idea that doing what is right matters more than doing what is safe. 1 year after the Battle of Saul, Kelrick stood on a new space station being built at the edge of the system. They called it Sanctuary Station. It would be a waypoint for refugees, a defensive position, a symbol of what species could build when they worked together. Commander Gregory Lynn found him at the observation window. Gregory had become a good friend over the months. Kelrick trusted him completely. Thinking about your home world? Gregory asked. Always, Kelrick said. I think about it every day. But I am also thinking about the future. We lost our world, but we found something else. A new home, new friends, a new purpose. We are going back, Gregory said, to Thalan space. Admiral Hughes approved an expedition, a joint force, humans and Thalan and everyone else who wants to come. We are going to retake your homeworld. Kelrick turned to stare at him. What, that is impossible. The Vrex control that entire region now. Nothing is impossible. You gave us sanctuary when you needed it. We gave you our protection. But that protection does not stop at Earth. It extends to your homeworld too. We are taking back every world the Vrex have stolen. We are going to teach them a very important lesson. What lesson? Kelrick asked. Gregory smiled. His eyes were hard as steel. That you do not threaten Earth. You do not threaten our allies. You do not hurt innocent people. Because if you do, humanity will find you. We will hunt you down. And we will show you exactly why you should have left us alone. Kelrick looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vrex were preparing. They thought they had won. They thought one battle was just a small setback. They did not understand what they had awakened. Humanity was young. They had only been in space for a few decades. They had primitive technology compared to most species, but they had something more important than advanced weapons or powerful ships. They had heart. They had courage. They had an absolute refusal to accept that might makes right. The Thalan had sought refuge. They had come to Earth desperate and afraid, expecting nothing. Humanity had offered them shelter. But they had also offered something else. Their friendship. Their protection. Their wrath against those who hurt the innocent. The Vrex would come again. Everyone knew it. But this time they would not find a young species protecting a few refugees. They would find an alliance. Species from across the galaxy, united by shared suffering, bound together by the sacrifice humanity had made. United in purpose and determination, they would find humanity, and they would learn a lesson that would echo across the stars. Some species cannot be intimidated. Some people cannot be bullied. Some principles are worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth killing for. Kelrick smiled for the first time in a year. "When do we leave?" he asked. 6 months. "We need time to finish the new ships, time to train everyone, time to coordinate. But in 6 months we head to Thalen space, and we take back what the Vrex stole from you." "We will be ready," Kelrick said. "My people will fight beside yours. We will show the Vrex what happens when they push too far, when they hurt too many people, when they make humanity angry." The two friends stood together looking at the stars. Behind them, humans and aliens worked together building something new. A station, a fleet, an alliance, a future. The Thalen had come to Earth seeking refuge. They had found sanctuary, but they had also found something more precious. They had found a species that would stand beside them, that would fight for them, that would never abandon them no matter the cost. They had found humanity, and together they would change the galaxy forever. The Vrex had wanted to hunt refugees. Instead, they had created an alliance that would hunt them. They had wanted to inspire fear. Instead, they had inspired unity. They had wanted to show their power. Instead, they had revealed their weakness. The age of the Vrex was ending. A new age was beginning. An age where the strong protected the weak, where species stood together instead of alone, where compassion was strength and courage was common, an age led by humanity and all those who chose to stand with them. The Battle of Saul was just the beginning. The war was far from over. But for the first time in a long time, the refugees and the hunted had hope. Real hope. Because they had found allies who would never give up, never surrender, never stop fighting for what was right, no matter the cost.